hands down, the worst game I have ever bought. This isn't even a close competition. This isn't even a debatable topic. Of all the games that I've owned on PlayStation 3, this is fucking garbage, and I should have burned this shit a long time ago. It's like getting stuck on a fucking cross-country trip with a YouTube artist singing Miley Cyrus songs while you telling him to go fuck himself and shut the fuck up. Now, let me simplify how bad this game really is. It is the only game in my entire PlayStation 3 collection that I never finished. Never finished. Even better, it's the only game that I've ever owned in which I didn't get 50% of the way through the game out of sheer awfulness. You know, there are games that I had that as a kid that I couldn't finish because they were too hard and whatnot, but this game wasn't even remotely close to being completed. If I got through the first 3 full race events, that would be amazing, because I remember specifically how abysmal this game really was. As I threw in this piece of garbage back into my console, the anger and the frustration came back instantly. Instantly! No hesitation. All I saw was pure rage as soon as this game started and as soon as the music started. There is nothing, I repeat, nothing good to mention about this game. In all the games I've done so far in this series, I have praised certain elements while explaining areas where they fucked up on the game. This game has nothing worthy to praise. Not one fucking iota. There are so many places to begin with and how awful this is, and I can't even sort through the number of ways that this game fucked up. You know, I can go with the most annoying item, I can alphabetize each flaw, I can put them in a numbered order and then just as they were encountered and shit like that. You know, I could throw all the fuck-ups in this game into a hat and just keep picking that shit out to emphasize how shitty this fucking game is. So let's just start from the very opening and go all the way through this motherfucker. Street racing is gone. Whether you think it's a good or bad thing, it was eliminated in this game in favor of closed track racing. And the best part is, the start of this game puts a disclaimer as to how street racing is illegal and you should always wear your seatbelts. Oh really? After 5 fucking games of you milking the Fast and Furious style game gimmick, now you want to put a disclaimer about it being illegal? Oh, the fucking things EA does will never cease to amaze me in this bullshit. After 5 games of milking illegal street racing, now you want to say, oh, here's our disclaimer that you shouldn't actually do this bullshit. Oh, give me a fucking break, man. After that bullshit dialogue, you get thrown into whatever the fuck tutorial race at the start of the game. You take on some character who I don't think you even ever see, who's a former illegal street racer, because they can't shove that shit down our throats anymore within the first 10 fucking minutes. After the opening cinematic, we get our first race or whatever the fuck that tutorial shit is. When it's over, the main asshole of the game, some stereotyped Asian street racing motherfucker, decides to taunt the main character. For what reason? Who cares? We need another douchebag for Need for Speed games. Because after all, if we're not doing the whole Fast and Furious ripoff shit that works so well for us, we might as well find a way to sneak a douchemongler into the game somehow. Basically, this cunt is supposed to be the best street racer ever and decides to show up at a lowly race. For what? Who the fuck knows? But when you win your bullshit race, he decides to taunt you. So right off the bat, this game ignores the #1 rule of any ranking system. If you're #1, you have no reason to trash talk anyone below you. If you feel someone is insignificant, then ignoring them keeps them insignificant. If you give that person attention, that makes them significant. Think about this for a second. Imagine the best athlete in the world right now, LeBron, Messi, Mike Trout, whatever. They decide to trash talk a nobody who most people have no clue about. Guess what? They just made that person relevant. By LeBron, Messi, or Mike Trout trash talking some random motherfucker, now that person has become a relevant person to that sport. You just made that person famous because you wanted to be an asshole. That's what happens here, which shows how stupid this plotline is to begin with. Now, once you get into the game and the stupid-ass story starts, you have to challenge all these fucking groups. You have a top racer named King leading their group. Whatever the fuck, man. Of course, you have to drive and beat them all. You know, and these some bitches have never lost a race before in their life. Every time you win a race, you move up to take on the king or whatever the fuck it is. And of course, when you beat a king, their whole world around them crumbles. That's right, by losing a race, the game leads you to believe that these kings are useless human beings. Oh, you lost a race? You're gonna be homeless now. You're gonna be a cripple now. You're gonna lose all your teeth. It is such fucking bullshit. They lose a race and they act like their whole life around them has just completely fucking ended. Now, obviously, none of this shit actually happens, but these guys lose one race and the game makes it seem like you toppled the world leader or something. Motherfucker, it's one race. Upsets happen, but apparently in Need for Speed, losing a race is almost the equivalent of losing your entire life. Once these kings lose, that's it. Their sponsors pull support, their crews pull all their support. It's just like Carbon yesterday. A completely and utterly fucking stupid concept that losing one race means you pretty much lose everything you own. Motherfucker, it's one race! Especially here, which seems like a league system, whatever the fuck, where you have a few races and shit. You are bound to lose a few league races. Nobody wins every single NASCAR race. Nobody wins every single F1 race. You're bound to lose at some point. But in this game, once you lose, that's it for you. Your career's over, motherfucker. Now, by the end of the game, I assume you face that Ryo motherfucker one last pitiful time before the game ends. I mean, I'm sure you have to face a motherfucker. I never got there. But once you beat him, I assume you become king shit of the game because that's how fucking stupid this game is. You know, unlike Carbon, where you had to go fuck the main chick in the ass or whatever the fuck it is, here, you get to beat the stereotypical Asian dude who just needs a camera and a dragon tattoo to complete the stereotype. Tell me that shit wouldn't fucking complete the stereotype, man. But anyway, aside from the corny storyline that makes about as much sense as the Lil Jon music video, the racing itself is fucking horrible. I mean, holy shit, what the fuck happened to the controls of this game? I mean, look, nobody's gonna mistake Need for Speed for Gran Turismo. This is not about realistic controls because Need for Speed games have always been arcade racing games, but the controls of the cars are fucking horrendous. You know, some cars feel like they'll have the greatest control in the world flying at 170 miles an hour. Some cars feel like you're turning a tugboat in a fucking river. There's no rhyme or reason why some cars have handling ratings that are pretty high, yet drive like shit when you actually use them. It makes no fucking sense at all. As for the race themselves, you need a certain amount of points to progress to the next set of races. If you don't get enough points, you need to go back and do it all over again for more points. The fuck? Really? I beat all the races. I got a gold medal, whatever the fuck it is. Why the fuck do I have to go back and make sure all of these wins were by a blowout? This isn't Gran Turismo level bullshit. No. You don't get enough points for winning races is bullshit. This is, you didn't earn the maximum total of points during the circuit. You need to do the circuit once more, all over again, to make sure you get the maximum points possible. You have to blow out every single race to make sure you can move on to the next one. It is fucking stupid. Instead of just winning a race, the idea is you have to win every race by a blowout. So apparently, having competition within a race is frowned upon. No need to have a balanced AI to beat the motherfucker. You just need to blow them out of the water, even if they're driving equal cars to you. There is no game, absolutely none, that has ever put this mechanic or logic into a game, and there's a reason why, because it is fucking absurd. Now, the tune-up portion of Need for Speed games are always pretty generic, you know, increased speed or handling or whatever, but in this game, they let you sculpt the auto body to change the abilities of the car. You can even put shit in a wind tunnel, whatever the fuck it is, to see how aerodynamic your car is. Yeah, it sounds great, right? Absolutely meaningless on the track. It is total bullshit. You may or may not have increased the abilities of your car, but the game will magically make the AI better each time you improve your car. So let me get this straight. If I change the properties of my car, yet the AI doesn't change the properties of their car, how the fuck do they drive better if it's the same fucking car? How fucking stupid is this shit, man? Every time you improve your car, the AI gets smarter and they drive better, even if they haven't improved their car. I can understand if you went to a different race circuit or whatever, showdowns, I can understand if you went to a different race circuit or a showdown or whatever we want to call these shits, and I can understand if the cars got better there. I can understand by improving your car, you face different drivers in a higher tier. But how do the same cars in the same race begin to drive better when you upgrade your car? It is fucking stupid. I mean, seriously fucking stupid. It's not a major improvement to intelligence either. They just managed to find the gas pedal and stop driving their cars at 30 miles an hour. You know, I can't remember exactly where I left off in this game and when I stopped giving a fuck, but I do know that the original save data was on my PlayStation Fat when that shit died, and when I had the option to bring that save data over, I didn't want to. I just left it. I never went back to this game. The studio that made this game, EA Black Box, made all the prior Fast and Furious type Need for Speed games. They made Undercover after this, and finally they made Need for Speed The Run, which was the final straw for them. Starting with this game, it all went downhill for Black Box. Pro Street was utterly, horrendously awful. Undercover after this was reviewed as a decent game, and The Run was reviewed as mediocre. Combine that with the successful Need for Speed games that the other studios created, EA smartly put this studio out of business. They had a good string of games on PlayStation 2 and Xbox Uno, but their PlayStation 3 360 generation racing games were average at best. Need for Speed Shift was a decent hit, and it showed how racetrack racing could be done right for Need for Speed, and that was done by a completely different studio. Criterion Games then blew Black Box out of the water with their vision and ultimately put these motherfuckers out of business. Because of how bad Pro Street was, I skipped a bunch of Need for Speed games. Undercover, World, Shift, whatever the fuck, and I didn't return to Need for Speed for 3 years. Tomorrow's video is quite possibly the best Need for Speed game that was ever created, and it's the next game that I bought after this game, and you guys got to see me play it a number of times on my channel in the past and shit like that, so you guys get to enjoy that video. But for this video, I'm glad I can finally get rid of this piece of shit. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and as soon as this video is over, I'm going to burn this fucking disc.